Okay, start I guess.
Yep.
Get your fish nice and straight if it's bent. This fish has been wet, so it's slimy. It would be better if it was dry. First cut, you want to make sure this is the trickiest cut to get started right. You want to make sure that you feel in here and get, I like to be on the side that I'm working on. I like the backbone to be on that side, so I'll show you here when I get it opened up. I get it right. Of course I'm on tape, so I'll get it wrong. But, so now there's a backbone and it's on that side, if you can see that. You can see there's bones in there and there's no bones on this side. So I'm going to take this fillet off this side of the fish. Just cut straight down the back. Cut a ways down this fish. And you go around this fin this way. I do this a little different than a lot of people, but it seems to work good for me. We don't get any bones in our fish. So that's good. Keep two knives. I use one knife for taking through the skin. That dulls your knife, and then I use another knife for taking the Y bones out and filleting. In the bigger jocks like this, you can see how much meat's there down. Compared to the small one, that's all meat. We haven't got to the Y bone yet. So the larger the jock, the better percentage of fillet you get. So now we haven't gutted this fish or anything. Everything is still where it was when he was swimming around. And if we do this right, we don't want to pop that stomach cavity at all. It's one of those things that makes fish taste fishy. So, get around that fin like that. Just go nice and slow so you can see what's happening here. So you got to stay right close to that Y bone. And if you hit them, there's a little knuckle there. You see that down? Like you can hear them popping, eh? Those ribs, and that's not the ribs. That's the bone we got to take out. That's what's in a jack that's not in a trout. Right in there. And just keep bringing that around. Sometimes it's better to do this in the daylight rather than in the dark. This is about I would say, Jeff, this is about a 17-pound fish, I would guess. It's pretty heavy. Don't worry too much about getting anything below that, because this belly fat here, we call that belly meat, it's not very good eating. It's also very fishy tasting, so we don't worry about that too much. One of the things I do that a lot of people don't do is I leave this attached. I don't take this fillet off until I take the other one off, and it allows me to have something to pull on here, to lift against. Now this is the hardest cut for me to make. I always have trouble with this. Get down the other side of that backbone without hitting the bones. Mosquitoes out of my mouth. There we go. Good. Around that fin like that. These big fish are quite a challenge. Okay. Going with this. Now we should be, oops, I missed that too. You can just see I just got on the wrong side of that a little bit, so now you gotta be on the other side of that membrane. There. And then it goes easy. And this fish is bigger than my table, which is making it hard. Okay. Get this fillet off. Sorry. Hang on a second. Down to where you can see that. Literally, it's almost too big for this table. This fish. It's a little tricky. Come on, I can't hit that Y bone. My knife's getting dull. Yep, that's what it was. Couldn't cut those, eh? My knife got dull and that was that. There we go. Now down the rib cage. These big fish, sometimes you got to stop, sharpen your knife a couple times. One fish. There we go. Now you can see flesh is coming off. This is the ribs. We've taken the Y bone is here, so we want to keep cutting along the inside of that rib. So just keep peeling that back. The old devil's got quite the hide on him. Like that. There we go. When we get down to where there's that belly like that, we can just cut through because we don't want any of that. Lots of meat up here, so you want to make sure you get right up close to the head as you can get. Yeah, we're getting there. You can see that fillet is starting to look like a fillet now. Oops. Literally need a bigger table. This is heavy. There. You make breakfast, eh, Jeff?
Yep.
Hey. Now we're going to pause that video you're doing. I'm going to sharpen my knives before we get to the next frame. You pause right here. Get this off.
Let's keep it running.
There we go.
We can edit it later.
Sure. Just fill it off. Without getting it all over you, Dan. So there's what's left of that jack. Not much.
Sure.
So if you go backwards like this, you can see where those Y bones are. The Y bones lay usually about, depending on the size of the fish, just up from the lateral line. And the Y bones lay in there and they go down and like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut along that Y bone all the way till you feel, it's a long ways on this fish, till you feel that rib underneath, that Y bone underneath, sorry. You can feel it. And as you're dragging your knife along, you'll feel it pulling on your knife, the bones. So now I've done that. Lay your knife in at a kind of at a 45 like this, and we just want to peel that back. Should I use a small knife for that? Along. I missed one. Yeah. See, I got on the wrong side of that. You can feel it because you can't cut through it, right? There we go. It's kind of a touchy-feely process. I'm pretty fussy. I don't like any bones. I don't like to waste a lot of meat, so it takes a bit of time. See, I missed a bone there. It'll be on this side. There we go. Got that all the way along. You can start to see that coming. You can see that.
Oh yeah.
See, that's your Y bone that's going to come out of there. That's the theory. Great. Just put that like that. You don't want to cut down through. Just try to say you feel the Y bone stop. You see it stop there, down?
Yep.
Okay, so now we got that. Now the tricky cut some people find. You go down the lateral line, like that. Cut in. We want to cut till we're just underneath. And I turn my knife underneath that Y bone. So if I do this right, you'll see my knife blade underneath there. Can you see that? See, my knife blade's on the bottom side of those Y bones.
Okay.
And that's perfect, right? And we just want to keep that coming. And that wastes the least meat. And if we do that right, we get all the Y bones out. Just keep coming along. These big fish are quite a bit easier actually at this point than the little ones, because the Y bones are big and you can see them. There we go. Just about got that. And you just keep filling with that a little bit till you get it. This is where a lot of people feel they're wasting a lot, because it does look like you're wasting a lot of, I mean, it's quite a big thing to take out of a fillet, but you can't eat them with them in there because it's all a lot of bones. So that's what that should look like, just about exactly. And you can see it's a Y, comes like that, comes down like that, and then up, and there's a fork in that bone. So that's that. That's what you waste. You can fish the opposite way. On this one, I'm going to take a nice big long bladed knife. What I like to do, lay it flat, get started at the back here, cut in, and flat, like this. Now, I like to lay my knife flat and just very small motions like that. And that's kind of what it should look like when you keep flipping it up like that to make sure you're seeing these big fish, because your knife blade's hardly long enough to. It's a lot of fish, man. So you just keep at that. Knife tilted down about 5 degrees. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can get it over closer to the edge of my fancy table here, it's wiggling all over the place, so that your hilt of your knife doesn't do this, because then it'll cut up into the fish. Just about there. And if we did it right, there's the result. One jack fillet. Now, if you're going to cook this, we can talk about that. What my wife looks after this. You don't wash this very much. Just rinse it with a little bit of clean water. Put it on paper towel. Keep it dry and cold. Don't put it back in the water. It's a big fillet. There you go. That's how you do it.